Welcome to KSDL.
Hello.
Hi guys, so Adila here with
Shan.
Yes.
Hello.
So just to give you guys a bit of update of what happened recently, we went to
Singapore Design Week.
yes SDW
Last
2023. SDW 2023.
Of all the possibilities, you weren't sure about the year. Okay, anyway, it's last week of September.
Yes,
that was
so it
Singapore
was
Design Week.
21st September to till 1st October. See, I remember the dates.
Mm.
Yeah. So believe it or not, it was my first Singapore Design Week visit. I've never been to any Singapore Design
Congrats.
Week. Yeah.
You are officially a designer now.
Yes. Thank you. Anyway, we spotted the design for dementia and migrant workers, which coincidentally was our latest 2 episodes.
Okay, so Singapore Design Week has a couple of different exhibitions peppered across Singapore lah. But the flagship exhibition is definitely more central, which is the one we went.
The first was a National
Design Centre.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where we found both of those exhibitions that you mentioned, right?
Yeah, and it's very nice because like the moment we walked in, the first thing we saw was the design for dementia.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I was like,
We
wait,
got
is this an
excited.
exhibition of our podcast? I was like, oh, okay, no lah, cannot be.
Wow, exhibition for a podcast.
Yeah, then after that, in the same exhibition, there was for the migrant workers, like how they design the living spaces of migrant workers, which is exactly the topic that we spoke about in our last episode. Like, it's really a funny coincidence. Yeah. But anyway, we actually documented our journey going through the flagship exhibitions in the Singapore Design Week.
Yes.
Plus a talk at night.
We went. So straight after our exhibition hopping that day, we went for a talk by IXDA and EPAM. The talk was on ethics, equity and responsibility. So, and the bonus part of it is that this was organized by our
first guest.
Yes, our first guest,
Kiasu Design Life.
Oh yeah, that was a pun.
If you listen to the episode, he's basically the guy behind IXDA in Singapore. And the talk is very nice. And as with other IXDA talks, it's really very well thought through. Yeah. And it's very holistic lor.
Okay, so back to our episode. So for today's episode, basically we are covering on the clever user experience behind scams. Yeah. So if you guys notice, there seems to be a lot of news reports on scams since last year. Yes.
Yeah. It's not only reports also, but if you take the public transports, like you can see a lot of advertisements.
Yes.
At the bus stops, leaves, at
the MRT
station. It's almost like fear mongering already. Like really just broadcasting. You know, there's a lot of scams around.
Yeah. Some of the advertisements I see, especially on the MRT, they even put a picture of this very youngish, hot-looking lady saying something nice, and then the copywriter will be saying, "This is too good to be true. Don't trust this." Yeah. So some of the articles that caught our attention, especially those with numbers, because we love numbers. For example, internet love scams in Singapore cost victims 33.1 million in 2020. And then more recently, September 2023, this year, 4 arrested for suspected money laundering of proceeds from love scams. Yeah.
And on top of that, CNA Insider is this channel on YouTube. They recently released a lot of episodes documenting on the first-hand experience of people who have fall for love scams. Yeah, so you can really tell the level of severity of this issue just by seeing, how much initiatives there are from ground up.
I suddenly recall, apparently Straits Times came up with this podcast which covers on scams, They will run through with you how the scam works and then things to look out for.
Like different kinds of scams.
Yeah,
and how they work.
It's a 10-part episode.
It's good that, there has been actions trying to get people to be more aware of how scam works. Because if you know how it works, then it's easier to decode it and tell, if you are actually falling for a scam.
Yeah.
So what we are doing over here as well is that we realize that there's also this design angle
that we can cover on scams. Right?
Yes, because so here's our thoughts on these scams in Singapore, right? Is that, let's say scam is a business. If it's love scam, then it usually involves investment.
Yes.
Then this whole thing is a product, right?
Yeah.
Then in a way, it's also quite successful in reaching its business goal of quote unquote luring customers in. And for that to happen, we think that there's definitely some user experience being thought through.
Yes.
That may be clever to support them hitting the business goals. Yeah. In another way, we think that, okay, there seems to be like these overlapping ways of working or design methodologies between scammers and also us, which is UX designers.
But not to say that we are scammers, okay, guys?
Yeah, what we meant to say is like, okay, there seem to be very familiar design principles and methodologies as we sieve through these stories, right? Being employed by scammers as well. But with wildly different intentions. One is malicious and the other is innocuous, right?
Yeah, so it's like, in other words, if there was a team in the scammers whose job is to provide a user experience to retain traction and prevent drop-offs, how could that look like?
Which is damn interesting. So we wanted to, try delving into this.
But of course, guys, this episode is in no way trying to promote you to become a scammer or giving you a how-to 101 to be a scammer. It's more of educating ourselves on, in the minds of the scammers, you see.
Like understanding the principles of how they work can help you to foresee a lot more scenarios that could happen. That's the angle that we want to take in this episode. Yeah. So basically, like how design can be applied in not just like us, right, for doing for good, but how design can also apply in evil or unethical use cases.
Jing, jing, jing.
Jing, jing, jing. All right.
Yeah, so how we're going to do this, basically, I will be acting as the devil, meaning I'll be giving the perspective of how the design methodology is employed for scams. Meanwhile, Xuan is the angel. You can play some bell rings here.
Basically, me being myself.
Okay. You guys should see me rolling my eyes. So she's going to give the perspective of how the same design methodology is employed for good.
Good. Yeah. Yes. We're just going to dissect how scammers work. From there, extract the design methodology or philosophy. And then, like from our experience, supplement with, okay, this is how we use it for good. Right?
Yeah. So as you guys might be aware of, there are several scams out there, from job scams, investment scams, love scams. Just for this episode, we are going to be focusing on love scams. Basically because Xuan has personal experience. Right, Xuan?
Yeah, I think among all the scams, love scam is the one that is closer to my heart. Yeah, because not me, but someone that is close to me that has happened to this person. Ever since I become hyper aware of all the news out there of similar people getting involved in similar scams. Yeah, so this one hits really close to the feels.
To your heart.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's dive into the world of scammers. So a majority of the victims of love scams are women in their late 20s to 30s. So you guys can just imagine, within this age, you are in the prime age of trying to find love, trying to find a life partner. Yeah. So these scammers, they even have a description of their victims. They will outline their victims to make sure that they are women, middle income, living in US, Europe, Japan, and Singapore.
Singapore.
Usually, they look for women who are like fragile and timid, who are a bit vain, and then like very particular about their appearance, about how they are being perceived online, among their friends, even in their careers. But at the same time, these women may be lonely and they are yearning for care and company. So as you guys know, sometimes there are certain women who maybe put more focus on their careers, and then because of their years churning into their careers, they yearn for this company for a partner. So that's why they may easily fall for these scams. Yeah. So in design, this is something we call it as personas, right?
Yeah, we call this having personas. In a scam organization, there's a lot of scammers working together to scam different victims, right? Or prospective victims. And in their mind, like, they have this one archetype of a person that they need to lure. This archetype is what we call in design personas. Why we have personas is because it's key to help designers be more user-centric. It's to really help you or your team or your client to understand the user that you are designing for. It also draws into the psychology of your user, or in the scammer's case is the prospective victims lah. So usually in design, right, for personas, it's not just the backgrounds, the facts and the figures. So for example, for scammers, right, it's not just 20 to 35 years old living in Singapore. These are facts and figures, right? But it also includes like motivation, personalities, which you also mentioned they are usually fragile and timid. It includes goals and also frustration. So their goal could be, okay, they maybe want to find company in their lives.
And maybe their fear will be like they fear living their life alone in the future. So because they were saying in design, we are drawing into the psychology of the character of the user. So to apply to scam, they are actually trying to tap onto the vulnerability and fears of the victims.
In one of the documentaries, the scammers actually have this list of how their victims should be. And one of the quote is, vanity is in the woman's DNA. So I think that is also, drawing into the psyche of the women already. It's really not just, the superficial background. If you flip it for a positive way, right, knowing someone's DNA is easier to design an experience for them. So one other advantage of having a persona is that it also guides you in your ideation process. So let's say you want to iterate your design, right? It's easier to have this persona in mind. Like, for example, if your persona, let's say let's say your persona is called Adila. Then it's like,
hello.
Okay, my persona came alive. Okay, anyway. So let's say you want to change your design. Then it's easier for you to connect with your user by asking yourself, how would Adila react to this? How would Adila use this? Because behind the name, you have already this deeper understanding of
me as a person,
how you behave, how you feel, how you think.
This suddenly reminds me of a copywriting tip that I ever learned somewhere. Basically, they say when you are trying to write something, write to one person. So there was this one copywriter. What he did was, his focus was he was gonna write to his son. So he's very popular on LinkedIn as a copywriter. And then his advice was, when he imagined writing to one, he imagined writing to his son, because he is trying to leave behind wisdom or lessons or tips. And then he imagined his son, and then from there his thought process and his words and action all very clear. Very clear cut. So it just suddenly reminded me of that basically.
Right, At least you're directed to someone instead of you trying to cast a net. Because when you are trying to, it becomes very fuzzy.
When you are trying to design for everyone, you are trying to design for no one. So speaking about copywriting, let's move on to texts from scammers. So in general, I'm sure most of us have received some form of scammy messages or SMSs. I receive a fair share from Telegram chats as well. Usually I don't open it because I see the display picture is so stock image. It's like it's either so pretty or so it's like a very AI kind of filter on the picture. So usually texts from scammers are friendly and non-malicious. Some of these texts from scammers even consist of very approachable phrases like asking me what did I do today, where did I go, what I've eaten today. And they act as if they are more caring than your regular friend. Like suddenly you are their whole world and all they care about is about you. That's what happens in design too.
The thing about scams, right? From the victim's point of view, you think you are talking to one person, but actually you could be talking to 3 to 5 scammers at one time. So what's interesting is that how do they operate in a way that they make you think that you are talking to just one person? So in design, right, it's actually very similar because in design we have multiple designers designing the content for this one product that is also operating around one person. In design, we call it the design guidelines. Yeah, so it's this like guiding principles to ground the thinking of designers.
And also maybe the content writer
or the
or
content
copywriter.
designers. Yeah, to make sure that, you know, we all speak the same language that the product should be. Yeah. So it's to ensure that the content is consistent, and also in the scammers world, is to ensure that every scammers speak in the same manner lah.
Yeah,
so they seem like one
for example,
person.
maybe I'm scam person number 1, maybe speaking to you, Xuan, and then maybe the following day, scam person number 2 trying to keep up the conversation with you. But of course, they have to maintain the same friendly, approachable, so caring persona that they have adopted, and then they weave that into the way of conversation, and you thinking that you're just speaking to one person.
Yeah, and that is a very successful guideline, I would say. If you think that you are really speaking to just one person. Yeah. A little bit of details of how, you know, these design guidelines work is usually this playbook. Maybe it tells you, oh, this is the characteristic of
This
the
product.
product. And the voice is professional and humble. And the tone is like encouraging and attentive. It defines the way your content could be. When you want to shape the copywriting,
And also the
you
design
know,
wise, aesthetic.
yeah, you can align it to a theme. Yeah. So I think for scammers, maybe the characteristic is similar, or maybe it's friendly, it's caring, it's also attentive. Yeah. So that puts the scammers in that frame of mind that, okay, I need to speak like this person.
In a way, I guess this kind of tone of voice makes the victim put their guards down. They feel as if, oh, it's just like a random chat with someone I can trust, I think. Yeah, maybe in their head.
Trustworthy could be one.
This person seems laid back, seems quite chill. I think should be okay lah.
And the characteristics also draw from the persona. Like, because we know the persona is this way, so we think that, okay, the characteristics should be this way in order to lure the customer, you know. Other than characteristics, there's also like do's and don'ts, usually.
Which is guidelines, right?
Yeah. Very concrete examples of what you should not do and what you should do. In product case, right? For example, Google Chat app. They have a guideline that says don't overwhelm user with choices. Yeah, something like this. Or like, do provide 2 or 3 simple options for users to resolve an issue.
So they don't get overwhelmed, basically.
Yeah, so and they don't get stuck.
Okay. But I guess in a scammer's point of view, in terms of their don'ts lah, I would think it would be don't keep asking very direct questions. Like, you don't just, as a scammer, I guess you don't just come up to the person and say, hey, are you rich? Or hey, how much do you earn? Oh, do you drive a car? I guess they try to do it more subtly. They will say, instead of saying like, instead of asking whether do you have a car or do you own a car, they will ask, is your home far from your office? And then the victim might say, oh, it's not very far because I drive to work. Yeah. Then from there, the scammers can derive that, okay, this person drives. Means this person has a car. Means this person has some asset for me to consider stealing.
Yeah. So it's like, don't be interrogative.
Moving on, when it's time to do transactions, usually scammers will be there for you throughout, where they will direct the person, like telling them, okay, do this, okay, do that. Then you feel as if this person is with you all the way, like reassuring
You're
you.
like a VIP customer.
Yeah, and reassuring you that everything's gonna be fine. It's nothing. It's nothing harmless. I'm here for you. Whenever you need me, just give me a call. Just give me a ring. I'll be there. In terms of a love scam, for example, maybe he would say, "Oh, we'll be in this together." Yeah.
So reassurance.
Yeah, reassurance, telling you that okay, when I say sell, you click on the sell button. So it's like giving very, very direct, step by step guidelines, so that to ensure that no mistakes happen.
Yeah. So in design, this very close contact of onboarding is what we call white glove onboarding. Yeah. So white glove really is the you last time you call tech cabs, right? Then sometimes you'll get those that drive the black Mercedes car one.
Oh.
The more expensive one. The flag down is not 240 one. It's like 370.
I think it's higher than that.
But the high SES one lah. And then they will wear the white glove.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, it's basically like more posh.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's that same analogy law. So it's really that VVIP package.
Hand holding procedure.
Yeah. So white glove onboarding is what we call a very hand holding procedure. It's basically an opposite of self-serve. So it's like we are there for you all the time. So you feel like someone is there to help me if I'm faced with issues. But it's also to make sure you go through the process yourself. Yeah, so you learn how to do it, but you learn with full assistance. Yeah, it's usually done in alpha or beta phases, where the product is just getting started, and then the design is still very volatile.
So that means if it's only done during the alpha and beta phases, right? Meaning, if once they have found a product market fit for the product, and then they achieve a good enough design, so after that there'll be no more white glove onboarding.
I think it's lower because the white glove onboarding is very labor intensive. Because it's like 1-to-1. Yeah, and it makes sense for early releases because you slowly gate the customer. So maybe alpha release, maybe you open to 15
or
customers.
Like a soft launch, only to certain people.
Yeah, but as you go through the releases, like let's say you go to public release, or some people call it the GA release. That is when your design is already kind of
tested and then already iterated to the best possible.
Correct. Like the degree of the discrepancy is probably lower.
Okay.
So it doesn't really warrant white glove onboarding.
So maybe for that version of the release, maybe they will just have a tutorial instead.
Yeah, or it slowly shifts to self-serve law.
Okay.
But in the scammer's perspective, they definitely want to have a white glove onboarding because this is the point that they don't want to have any drop-off.
Yeah,
right?
they don't want to screw up.
Yeah.
They really want to make sure that the time invested in this scam that they have built over time, maybe a few days or a few weeks or a few months, want to make sure they have the outcome to justify their efforts.
Yeah, it's like the fish already bite onto the bait. Then you need to reel in, right? You need to make sure that the fish does not.
So you have to be very careful.
Escape. Yeah, because it's like they already invested so much effort to lure the victims already.
Speaking about effort, I think it's a nice transition to our next point. Basically about how most scammers will actually ask you to start small to get you hooked. In a way, in Singapore, we call it test water.
Test the water.
Yeah, to see whether it really makes sense or whether it really works. So you test water by just, dip your toes in it and then see whether you get some form of outcome from it. Yeah, so for example, a scammer might say, just try $50. And then victims will think, it's just $50. No loss, no worries. And then from that $50, it may even increase to $500. So scammers will pump in another $500 to make it seem like it's an easy 100% profit. Yeah.
So they put in $500 and then the victims realize, wow, I put in $500, then I earn another $500.
Yeah, precisely. Because they started off small, 50. So eventually it grew to 500, and even getting the next 500 to them is like, wow, it's a big win. From my small win, it's a big win. Surely this is something trustworthy. It is legit lah. Something I can trust, right? In terms of design, it's similar to like a foot in the door strategy, right?
Yeah, it's like the dip your toes in the water to get your toes wet a bit, to make sure like, you kind of invest, because we know that, for you to adopt something, the barrier is high.
Yeah.
So how do we lower that barrier? How do we make it easy for you to slowly adopt? What we do in design is also we make it easier for you to test out the system. For example, in order for you to realize product value, you need to go through a setup. And then through the product, we can tell you, okay, let's start with uploading a small CSV of your data and then see how that works in the system that we have built out for you. With this, you get to see, okay, when I upload my data, the product actually churns into this very nice visualization. Yeah, so we help you to realize from the beginning to the end with minimal investment on your side. Yeah, but that is to just give you a sense of how it will be beneficial to your life. In other words, it's like slicing the end-to-end process and to get the customers or the victims, in this case, to realize the value themselves. And when they realize the value themselves, they will imagine, what it could be if I invest everything.
Or invest in more.
Yeah, or what it would be if I really put all my company data into this platform. Then, I can see all the visualization. In a scammer's world, it's like, I put 500, I get 500 extra. So what if I put 100k? Then I get 200k. You know, like they'll then extrapolate this.
Yeah. I guess in a scammer's world, they would think of this. They would think of this approach as a hook, lah. So they hook and reel in customers by allowing customers to win big, sort of, and then withdraw it and then realize profits upfront. But actually, the scam is just about to start.
Yeah, that is really that enticement they want to give customers.
Actually, speaking about this foot in the door strategy, I think it's quite similar to softwares or desktop apps where they will let you try some features first, and then only when you are already invested in using it, and then if you want to do a certain thing, and they'll say, if you would like to do this is a premium feature. And then you need to pay up.
Yeah, like freemium model.
Yeah, basically that's the word, freemium model. So once you are in it already, you try it, then it works and it makes sense to you, and then you are really bought into it already. Then you realize, wait, I need to do this one more thing, but then I have to pay. Okay, fine, let's pay.
Yeah, because you realize how beneficial it is to you, so you don't mind paying a little to unlock some features that you know will be even more beneficial.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me of another one also, like, how certain SaaS products, right? They will have no sign-up demo versions.
Oh, yeah. They just let you play as a guest.
Yeah, it's like sandbox versions of the product. So they completely remove that hurdle of signing up.
The friction of signing up.
Then you really get into the product straight away, and you play along with the product.
And then if I'm mistaken, if let's say we want to save your progress, then that's where they will push you to create an account.
Yes. Yeah. Something like this. So all this is really what we call foot in the door. Yeah, used in a proper way, it really will help customers to decide whether it is good for me to invest in using this product. Yeah.
But actually, of course, done in the wrong way, like scammers, they hook you in and reel you in without you realizing.
Yeah.
So, like, as I mentioned just now, whenever the victim feels like they are being hooked, and then they feel that, hey, I think I'm winning, I'm getting this good outcomes. Actually, too good to be true, but they're just not questioning it. So, only once you realize the impact, then scammers will celebrate this win with you and encourage you to put in more. Yeah. So initially maybe you have your hesitance, and then maybe you thought, it's okay lah. I put in 50, I lost a bit, 50 is fine. But then I put in 500, but I got another 500, and they realize it's a big win to them. So victims will actually get this kind of nudges from scammers. They will tell you to put in 20k lah instead of 500, and then they let you know how much you have gotten given a prospective spike in the market. You as a victim, thinking that you actually are on a winning streak, you thought you're gonna be lucky the second time round, without realizing actually this is where the actual scam starts.
And also they paint that happy ending for you.
Yeah. They
Put
paint
in
that
another 200, then we
Yeah.
win together.
basically they paint that imaginary happy ending together.
In design, we call it nudges. It's a very familiar term for a lot of designers. Yeah, because it's something that we do in our designs to push for certain behaviors. Yeah, and actually, nudge is a behavioral science concept on minor changes in product design to bring about a change in user behavior. Yeah. So for example, in product cases, we want to encourage customers to continue using a product or to ensure retention. Maybe we will push a checklist for them, like, okay, you have completed your first round of setup. Why not level up your workflow by doing these steps? And then in these steps, we also kind of paint the value for you. Like, okay, you could save 1 hour for every of your workflow that you will be taking.
Yeah.
If you just invest 30 minutes of your time to set this up.
Actually, it reminds me of an example on LinkedIn, right? Sometimes I post things up and then maybe certain posts get some traction, some views. And then LinkedIn will actually say it to me like, hey, your post is doing well. A post that signed up as a premium member gets 4 times more views. Would you like to reactivate your premium for free 1 month? I always get this this nudge in a way, but I know it's advertising as well. So I would think it's like the whole idea of them even emailing this to me, and then when I log into LinkedIn they show it up as a pop-up to me, like nudging me to consider signing up and giving me numbers saying that this is the imaginary outcome that I will get.
This is what you could get. So these are all like nudges, whether you know it or not. To push for behavioral changes lah. Yep.
Summarizing all the points that we've mentioned so far, those were all basically the different experiences a scammer might put you through, and how it also parallels with a design process. Right? So to this point, we realize that when it comes to scams, there will be a certain tipping point that happens. So for example, maybe from step 1 all the way to step 5, the user experience of a victim was fine. The scammer
is always very smooth.
Yes, smooth.
5 stars. 5-star experience.
Yes. And then it's only when you realize something bad happens, that's where you see suddenly their user experience just breaks. The pattern is just broken. So when victims internalize a string events, they expect a certain outcome thereafter. To realize that something iffy is when the tone changes. For example, from caring to threatening. Maybe the scammer will be, do you not trust me anymore? Or the platform? I already told you to do this.
Which is like a difference if we relate back to the copywriting guideline.
Victims also suddenly experience unexpected and undesirable results. Like for example, they were expecting 100% or 150% outcome of their profits from the amount that they gave in or they transferred. Then suddenly now it's $0. Then when they question this to their lover, which is a scammer, then they were then suddenly the scammer just turn it around into them. It's a bit like gaslighting.
A bit, yeah.
If like that, how do you think it relates to design then? Do we have such a thing in the design process?
I think this tipping point is basically things that we try to avoid. For example, tone changes is things that we should avoid to prevent it from sounding like 2% from one product. The unexpected and undesirable results. Expecting 100% profit but you get flush to $0. That is also something that we do not want to deliver to the customers lah. Like for example, very simple example, right? Let's say every time I upload CSV, back to that CSV example, it takes me less than 30 seconds to do so. This time I upload same CSV of the same size, it takes more than 1 minute. Then I'll be like, why is this product suddenly so cui. Like why is this product like suddenly not performing up to standard lah?
Like unreliable lah, basically.
Yeah, because there's already this expectation.
Yeah.
And if this expectation has been so good all along,
Yeah.
then customers have already this threshold being established.
So in a way, you're saying this expectation is unmet. From the scammer's point of view, it will definitely be unmet. But from the product design point of view, never have expectation which is unmet lah. Basically, this is the thing that is to be avoided lah.
Yeah, because the difference between scams and product design, like what you said, at one point they don't care about the experience anymore because they already reel in the money.
Yeah. So they just drop you off like flies.
Yeah, they care what your experience is, like what white glove onboarding, like to hell with you, man. You know?
I got what I want.
I got what I want. Yeah, but for product is we have to maintain this throughout. Yeah, so the part that we are speaking of now is that breaking of the experience, which I think is almost like black and white lah. Like for scammers, this is what they deliver, and then for product design, instead of what we have been discussing just now, how it's overlapping, how it's similar, now it's like what we try to avoid.
What is totally different basically. We also noticed that there's this rocky experience. So from zero friction, then
smooth sailing all
the way to suddenly full of roadblocks. Suddenly you cannot contact the scammer anymore. You try to get your money back, but you can't. Coming full circle and realizing, oh no, I've been scammed.
Yeah, it's like when you want to take out your money, then they tell you have to put in another 100% of what you have to unfreeze your account, because apparently your account is frozen.
Yeah.
You need to put another 200k. They just jump scare you with all these conditions,
or even
right?
worse, if let's say you already put in 200k and then you want it back, right? Then they'll say, you have to put in another 100k by the certain date or within the next 48 hours to release the initial 50k.
Oh yeah, they do that. So like, let's say you have 200k, they'll ask you to put in maybe 10% of it. And to you, it's like a bit sunk cost fallacy, right? I already put in 200k, so never mind this 10k. I just put in 10k more because I want to take out all my 200k. Yeah. And then that's where they keep looping you through this.
They keep throwing you like lies lah. Like conditions saying that if you just put in 10% more by 48 hours, we will confirm release for you this amount. It's just a technical issue. After 24 hours it will be resolved. We will push your case further and make sure that your case will be resolved further.
Yeah. And then I think that's drawing back to design. That is something that we would avoid in the product. If there are conditions, we will make sure that it's upfront. We don't make you the woman is too stunned to speak. You know that meme? Do you know that meme?
No, I don't know. Maybe you should show me later.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So don't stun you lah, right? With these conditions.
This condition reminds me of the fact that there are some apps that you download, right? And then they'll say, this will be a 7-day trial. After 7 days, we will charge you $69.99, for example. And then you use for 5 days, and then on the 6th day you forgot about it, and then on 7th day they just charge you anyway. But there are some apps which is very nice. They will say, this app is on trial for maybe 5 days. On the 3rd day we will notify you of a reminder that we will be charging you soon. Then they will actually notify you before they make the charge. And the funny thing was this considered app is a mental health app called Bravely, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So the app actually even tell me, you're gonna be charged this amount by this date. We will send you a reminder again on the 3rd day. I'm like, that's nice.
So you feel assured?
Yeah, I feel assured that I signed up, but closer to the due date, they will tell me again. Then I need to reevaluate. Do I want this app? Do I want to sign up? Yeah.
And then you trust them even more, right?
Yeah. It seems like as if they are concerned about me. And then they are invested to make sure that I have my money's worth, right?
Yeah, and it also feels like they have your interests
at heart,
right? Yeah. So I think the opposite of this is probably what we call dark UX.
Oh yeah, dark
right.
UX.
So is UX used in a unethical manner already? Yeah. So we kind of latch onto the behavioral science but we turn it into a sinister manner. Yeah, that's like the tipping points or the part where, the bubble bursts for the victim because they realize something is wrong. Like, suddenly the experience just plummets. Yeah. So these are all the different design methodologies that we have kind of extracted out from the stories of scams lah.
And the process of scams, basically.
Yeah.
We hope that it was beneficial and insightful for you guys as how it was for us as well. Do be careful and don't fall for scams.
Any closing thoughts?
Some similar design philosophies that can be employed in a sinister way is, but I don't know whether this sits in between being dark UX or sinister or just like pushing people to buy things. For example, if you are trying to buy a certain like physical product, while you are trying to purchase, suddenly you see this pop-up saying, oh, person so and so just bought this. After that, suddenly pop up again, oh, person so and so just bought 2 products of this that you're viewing just 1 minute ago. So would that be considered dark UX?
That's a very good question. I think it depends on how you view it lah, because this design is grounded in capitalism. So if you think capitalism is evil, then whatever design you think is good for the product, right, is evil lah. Yeah, but
then at the same time, I also seen an example where, for example, you are booking a hotel, and then maybe while you're trying to book, then they will put there,
last room,
or 3 other people are also viewing the same listing. So I guess that gives you the rush of making a decision lah.
It's probably all in a spectrum. So if you were to compare this booking experience and scammers experience, then this is probably relatively better than the scammers lah. Definitely is not all good. If you are profiting, then people can also argue that there's some sort of evil intention in it.
Another one more example I can think of is basically those email newsletters where it's so impossible for you to unsubscribe from the newsletter.
Oh yeah, dark UX law. That is
very clear cut dark UX. They make it so hard for you to either unsubscribe from the newsletter, or maybe if you're on a premium subscription, and they make it so impossible for you to stop the subscription.
Yeah. Like, I think I was on ClassPass as well. And then I tried to close my subscription. And then I had to go through this arduous 10-step process. They just keep asking me, am I sure? They interject with, if I say I'm sure, right? I'm heck sure that I just want to freaking unsubscribe. Then they will say, here's 15% discount just for you. To reel you in again. So I think, so my closing thoughts is similar to what we are talking about, which is fundamentally they're all designs. Like scammers trying to create this experience for victims, or trying to dissuade someone from unsubscribing, right? It's all someone employing some tactics through design to push you to a certain behavior. So it actually scares me a little bit. Like, wow, actually fundamentally it's quite similar. It's really your intention.
So it all boils down to how evil or how good your intention is lah, right? So you must then. So first, if we were to imagine like a flowchart or Venn diagram, flowchart lah, is your intention evil or good? And then there'll be like yes or no, and then you go accordingly. Yeah
lor. But it's all stemming from the same design fundamentals lah.
And you just have to like mastermind it to make sure that it follows according to what you want the outcome to achieve.
A bit derailing, but it reminds me of this workshop that I went, which I really like, by Gerald Spool. So Gerald Spool is this rather popular or rather famous UX
His name's
advocate.
Familiar.
So there was UX SG last time, and there was UX Thailand as well. So I went to attend their conference, and there's a workshop.
Thailand?
In Bangkok.
Okay. In Bangkok.
And there is a workshop by Gerald Spool, which is sold out.
Wow.
That's the first workshop that sold out. I managed to get a slot in as well. So the workshop is called Despicable Design. It's actually a bit similar to what we are talking about. For example, you want to design an onboarding experience of someone who wants to sign up for a credit card. But you design the shittiest experience ever, the most evil design, the most evil experience ever for this customer.
Wow.
You start with the evil design first. Yeah, so it's like Stranger Things lah, you know what Stranger Things?
Yes, I watched
Like
Stranger Things.
you just go straight to the underworld.
Oh yeah.
The very gooey, sinister, haunting environment, right? So the philosophy of that is that it's easier to design for a shit experience. And from that experience, you ask yourself, what are the attributes that's driving this shitty experience? And then I try to flip it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
he's doing the opposite way.
Yeah, so he's doing opposite way. So this methodology is employed when, let's say, you want to design with a client or you want to design with a team that is not really designers, and the first thing they say is, but I cannot do design. Like I cannot draw. How do you encourage them? So you tell them, okay, today we are not going to design the best experience, we're going to design a shit experience. And actually this makes it very fun. Especially when there's different levels of people in the room. Like there's
different levels of seniority, basically.
Yeah, like when we try to design for a good experience, we are scared or we are worried of being judged.
Yeah,
because people want to get the right answer.
Yeah.
But when you want to design a shit experience,
you suddenly don't feel
there's no judgment.
You don't suddenly feel like you don't feel the need to impress anyone.
Correct. Yeah. The fun thing is trying to extract out, what are the attributes that I am tuning. And then imagine like a dial, right? From the negative, to
the positive.
I just dial every of these attributes to a positive. Then what does it look like then? Yeah.
So interesting.
So that's a bit like evil, like you intentionally evil for the purpose of being good. Yeah.
Speaking about Jared Spool, I just realized, I do know this guy because the thing is, I joined his.
Okay, Jared.
There's this user experience design school for adults that he's created. It's called the Center. So we will put in the link as well for you guys in the show notes. You can check it out. From what I know, it's free. I mean, when I joined, it was free. He does like some live webcast, webinar before, and then he will have a recording of it. Yeah. It's quite useful.
Yeah. I find his recordings all very useful. Right.
Yes. So that's our episode for today.
We don't have Gutums for this episode.
I guess whatever that we shared in our closing thoughts has a mix of Gutums anyway.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I hope this has been a very insightful episode for you guys.
We hope we have kind of dissected some of the thinking behind scammers, and then that will help you to see through the trickeries of any scammers in the future.
If you guys have any questions, you can put it in our Spotify Q&A. As usual, if you are listening to any of our episodes, please just take a screenshot and tag us on Instagram so that we can also repost it and also tag you guys in it.
Yep.
Okay.
See you.
Bye.